From a wooden platform, a crier proclaimed a treason verdict that the crowd did not believe.
In my last life, I died under a printing press in Tokyo. Now I am a court scribe. The throne controls every crier, every rumor, but I know how to control information better.
That night, Toshiki slipped into the Empire's only printing workshop, a relic few understood. By lantern light, he selected lead type with ink-stained fingers, assembling words the criers never spoke.
I'll print the real prices, the real crimes, the truth.
The wooden press groaned as Toshiki pulled the bar. A fresh sheet slid out, ink gleaming.
The first true newspaper in this empire. And it's mine.
He printed through the night, hundreds of copies. By morning, the city would read. Not a single crier knew what was coming. And the throne? They would learn too late. At dawn, Toshiki carried a heavy bundle into the market. His sleeves rolled tight. He pressed the first sheet into a baker's hands. The man stared at the ink, confused.
Read it. It's not a decree. It's the truth.
A grain merchant unfolded his copy and saw the true market prices, lower than the crier had chanted. The merchant's voice cracked as he read the numbers aloud, and a dozen heads turned toward him. On his platform, a crier bellowed the official price, but the crowd ignored him, absorbed by print. The paper passed from hand to hand, fingers tracing the columns of grain and salt.
They've never held real news. Only royal lies.
A woman whispered to her neighbor, pointing at a story on the back page about a corrupt official. By noon, 1,000 eyes had seen what no crier dare utter. The first newspaper had taken root. In the palace, Emperor Valerius crushed a newspaper in his fist, his silver beard quivering with rage.
Find the scribbler who dares print without my seal. Silence this poison at its source.
Your Majesty, the printer remains a ghost. My agents found only ink-stained floors and locked doors.
That night, Toshiki's ink-stained hands set a new headline. Tax collector embezzles funds, citizens starve.
They'll beg for names, but I'll give them proof.
By dawn, the press clattered, and the next edition carried ledger figures copied from the palace archives. In the square, a baker read the numbers aloud, and a stone hit the tax collector's door before noon. Imperial guards arrested the official on the steps, his ledgers fluttering into the mud.
Now they know a page can topple a man.
The throne now hunted a phantom with ink-black fingers, but the city already called the paper the people's voice. The emperor's criers read a decree in every square. The newspaper was a treasonable offense. Toshiki heard it through his window.
They can't stop it now. The city has tasted truth.
A velvet-clad noble found him that evening, a purse bulging at his belt. The noble spoke low. Print a story about a rival's treason, and this purse is yours.
I don't print lies. Go peddle your schemes to the criers.
The noble cursed and stuffed the purse back into his cloak, then vanished into the dark. An hour before the next run, Chancellor Orlan appeared in the shop, his smile colder than the night air.
You've made quite a noise. The Emperor will not allow a rogue press. Stop, or face consequences beyond imagination.
The paper will continue. As long as there's a story the people need to hear.
Orlan left without another word. Toshiki knew that each press of the bar now hammered against the throne itself. To grow, the paper needed correspondence. Toshiki sought out a determined young scribe named Ilara.
You want me to send reports from the provinces? That means going against the crier's monopoly.
Write only what you can verify. The truth is your shield. I'll give you paper, ink, and a purse.
Within a week, Ilara's first dispatch arrived, a letter detailing a corrupt grain inspector in a river town. Toshiki opened a letters section. Common folk sent scribbled notes about broken promises and pocketed taxes.
Now every citizen is my reporter. The truth will flow from the ground up.
A network of scribes and writers spread across the empire, feeding news back faster than any crier could shout.
The information web is strong. Time to strike at a bigger enemy.
The next edition accused a noble of embezzling grain subsidies. Ledger pages reprinted as evidence. Imperial guards arrested the noble at dawn. The city cheered the paper's name, The emperor summoned Orlan in a fury. That night, in a vaulted chamber beneath the palace, Emperor Valerius slid a heavy purse across the table toward Lord Rensel.
I fund a paper. Call it the Voice of Truth. Fill it with tales that destroy the scribbler.
Your Majesty, if traced, the throne's hand will be exposed.
My lord, I am your loyal press. By dawn, the city will shun that foreign spy.
By dawn, Rensel's printers worked a rival press. Its masthead, the Voice of Truth, gleamed with royal gold. The headline screamed, "Toshiki, a foreign agent bent on destroying the empire." Copies flooded the market. A merchant read the lie aloud, and his neighbors gathered with furrowed brows. A woman folded the paper, her face twisting. He printed grain prices right. But could he be a spy? In a crowded street, Toshiki stared at the rival paper. The lies stung like a physical blow.
They're fabricating entirely, but the people are listening. I need to fight back, fast.
Toshiki stared at the ledger. Unsold copies piled in the corner. The rival's lies were eating his readership.
This paper is bleeding influence. The Voice of Truth is drowning us.
Toshiki, I traced the rival's paper supplier. The payments connect to a shell company called Imperial Supply.
She laid out invoices. The shell company's address was a palace annex. Toshiki's jaw tightened.
It's not proof of the Emperor's direct hand, but the treasury is definitely the source.
We can't publish speculation. We need a signed order, a witness, something unshakable. Until then, we fight with what we have. Verified truth. Every story must be bulletproof.
He instituted a fact-check column, assigning Elara and 2 scribes to verify every report with witnesses and documents.
The rival throws mud. I'll build a fortress of truth. The people will choose.
Sales remained low, but the paper's reputation for verification grew. The information war had just begun. A rumor swept the city. Toshiki's paper had poisoned the South Well to blame the criers. The Voice of Truth printed the accusation in bold, and a gibbet rose in the square before noon.
They're setting a trap. I can feel tightening around my neck. This is their killing blow.
I found a washerwoman who saw 2 men dump something into the well last night.
Elara brought the woman to a guardhouse where a notary recorded her testimony under oath.
She described their uniforms. They wore Lord Rensel's household colors.
Good. That ties the crime to the rival directly. But we need a second source.
A baker sold them poison powder. He's willing to testify and bring his ledger.
The rebuttal is done. Every lie will be met with a verified truth tomorrow.
The presses rolled again, louder than ever, carrying the truth to a city that would soon judge. The city woke to the rival's headline, Toshiki Poisoner, and the gallows stood ready. At dawn, Toshiki's rebuttal exploded onto the streets. Its front page bore sworn testimony. The lead article read, "The fabricated well poisoning exposes the Voice of Truth's lies." Below it, the washerwoman's statement. A crowd gathered, reading the rebuttal aloud. Fingers pointed at the witnesses' names, verifying each line. The baker's ledger was printed on page 2, with the poison powder purchase circled in red ink. By midday, a mob stormed the Voice of Truth offices, roaring for the editor's head. Imperial guards arrested the rival's editor on charges of slander and fabricating capital crimes. In the square, the gibbet was dismantled. Citizens cheered and hurled the rival papers into a bonfire.
Now they remember why they trusted us. The truth is a weapon, and we just sharpened it.
By nightfall, every rebuttal copy sold. Toshiki's press ran through the night to meet demand. The rival's voice was silenced. A sealed letter slipped under the shop door at dawn. It bore only an imperial wax crest. The letter read, "The Voice of Truth is funded by the Chamberlain's treasury. Seek the purchase orders in the palace records." Elara rushed in with worse news. Their last exposé, a noble's embezzlement, was based on a forged ledger. Witnesses recanted. The noble screamed for a retraction. Citizens who had cheered now eyed the paper with doubt.
They fed me a lie. I printed it. Now my paper is no better than theirs. I need unshakable proof of the throne's hand. Only then can I wash the stain. Ilara, we need the Chamberlain's purchase orders. They'll link the treasury to Rensel's paper.
But the palace was sealed tighter than a vault. The rival paper, though crippled, spread new doubts. Sails dipped. The Truth Fortress had a crack, and the enemy was prying it open. Toshiki set his jaw. Without hard evidence, he was just another printer of lies. He would find it, or die trying. In the palace, Toshiki stood before the Chancellor's office, his heart beat louder than the distant criers. Chancellor Orlan gestured to a hard wooden chair, his smile a thin blade.
The treasury funds, the voice of truth. A sealed letter from within confirmed it. I know the truth.
That truth is a noose you are tightening yourself. The Emperor's mercy is why you still draw breath.
I will publish the Chamberlain's purchase orders. Every link from the treasury to Rensel's press.
Publish a single line, and you'll be a corpse before the ink dries. The Empire does not tolerate rogues.
Orlan leaned forward, his voice slipping to a whisper, the room suddenly colder.
Within a week, the Imperial Guard will smash your press. Accept our patronage, or be buried with it.
He all but admitted it. But without the evidence, I am just a cornered animal.
Toshiki walked from the palace into the gray morning, the threat coiling around his neck like a shroud. Back in the print shop, Toshiki told Ilara of the Chancellor's veiled threat. His ink-stained hands were shaking.
Then we need proof from the source. Rensel's house is hiring maids. I'll go.
3 days later, Ilara entered Rensel's mansion in a maid's uniform, a tray balanced in her steady hands. In a dusty study, her fingers found a drawer unlocked. Inside, purchase orders stamped with the Chamberlain's seal.
Proof from the treasury. But if they catch me, I am dead. This is what we need.
Footsteps in the hall. She crammed the pages into her apron and slipped out the side door. Guards shouted in the garden. Ilara scrambled over the stone wall, pages clutched to her chest. She ran through the night, gasping, until she flung herself through the print shop door.
Toshiki, the Chamberlain's seal on the purchase orders. Proof of the treasury funding. I have it.
This paper accuses the Emperor. If I publish, they'll come with swords. But truth is all I have.
The morning sun had barely touched the print shop when the Imperial Guard battered down the door. Toshiki lunged toward the press, but steel hands caught his arms and twisted them behind his back. Ilara was pinned to the floor, a guard's knee on her back, ink smearing her cheek. An axe split the printing press. The iron screw snapped, and the type scattered across the boards like broken teeth. The Chamberlain's seal documents lay on the desk, inches from the ink pot, untouched. Toshiki was dragged into the throne room, chains clanking, before the smirking Emperor Valerius and Chancellor Orlan.
Your paper is kindling. Your conspirators rot in cells. Speech is a privilege, and I revoke it.
He'll make me a martyr if he kills me now. But that's what I must become.
Chancellor Orlan stepped forward, holding up the stolen purchase orders with a thin smile.
Evidence of your own forgeries. You will die without a single friend. Genius.
Emperor Valerius rose, his voice booming across the hall like a death sentence.
I offer you life. Serve as the Empire's printer. Every line approved by my Chancellor, or the gallows claim you.
And if I serve you, what truth remains? I'd rather die with the truth than live as your liar.
Orlan's thin smile widened, savoring the rejection he had foreseen.
Then rot in the dark until your truth is forgotten. Guards, take him.
Toshiki was hauled through cold corridors, chains scraping stone, to a cell where no light touched.
Let them come. The words I printed are already beyond their reach.
In the chaos of the raid, Ilara had slipped from the guard's grip. Now she crouched in a back alley, her mind racing.
Toshiki's network is broken, but not dead. I'll find his correspondence. The truth will not die in that cell.
She moved into the dusk, her shadow melting into the city's maze, while Toshiki counted the bars of his cage.
I'll scratch words until someone reads them. This cell is my printing press.
Get the backup press working. We print tonight. The raid, the treasury link, everything.
In the cramped basement, the hidden press clanked to life. Alara's ink-stained fingers setting type with desperate speed. A special edition rolled off the press, its bold headline screaming, "Palace Corruption Exposed." By dawn, copies were in the squares. A cobbler read the first column aloud, his voice shaking with rage. The cobblestone streets filled with citizens, their faces lit by the fire of the printed word. The crowd marched toward the palace, thousands of voices merging into a roar. "Release the printer. Give us the truth."
They're chanting. I've won. Even if I die in this cell.
Through the bars, a trembling hand pushed a scrap of paper. The city rises. Hold on. The capital was no longer silent. The streets dictated the terms, and the throne trembled. Late that night, torchlight flickered in the prison depths. Chancellor Orlan's footsteps echoed on wet stone.
Your little paper has stirred the rabble. The Emperor will grant you a charter of incorporation, but you must end this unrest.
A charter that the next emperor can revoke. I want a free press, immutable, beyond any throne's reach.
Orlan's smile thinned to a razor's edge. He had expected groveling, not demands.
You would dictate terms from a prison cell. Genius. Very well, I'll carry your words. But the Emperor's patience is threadbare.
Without another word, Orlan swept away, his robes hissing against the stones. The iron door clanged shut.
He'll try to cheat me. A charter without teeth. But I hold the streets.
Through the narrow window, the distant roar of the crowd still pulsed like a heartbeat.
As long as they chant, the Empire must listen.
Somewhere in the palace, a quill waited in an inkwell, undipped. The Empire's future hung on a single signature. At dawn, a guard unbolted the cell. Toshiki rose, his ink-stained hands still bearing the marks of chains. He was marched through the palace corridors, past silken tapestries that mocked his rough clothes.
The charter is my weapon. I must make it ironclad, or they will strangle the truth within a year.
In a small antechamber, a scribe handed him parchment and a quill. He began to draft the terms of a free press. The words flowed. The Imperial Gazette shall report without censorship. No prior restraint, no closure except by public jury.
If they sign, I've won. If they don't, the streets will burn.
The massive doors groaned open. Emperor Valerius sat rigid on the throne, his silver beard catching the cold light. Chancellor Orlan lounged to the side, a predator waiting for a misstep. The air was thick with unspent fury. Toshiki walked forward, the draft charter held before him like a shield. The Empire watched, one final breath, one final gamble. The press would either roar again or fall silent forever. Toshiki lifted the charter high, his voice cutting the silence of the throne room.
What is this? A demand? You think I will sign away my authority to a printer?
Not authority, accountability. Without this charter, the Empire rots from the inside, and you know it.
Majesty, this is the prattle of a defeated man. Execute him, and the crowd will scatter.
If I hang, the purchase orders from the Chamberlain's treasury spread to every corner. Your secret rival will be exposed.
The Emperor's hand froze. Outside, the crowd's chant grew louder, pressing against the walls like a rising tide.
Silence, Orlan. The streets are more dangerous than this ink-smeared scribe.
With a trembling quill, Emperor Valerius signed. The wax seal sizzled against the parchment.
The truth now has a shield no army can break.
The imperial charter of the free press was law. Toshiki's newspaper would never be silenced again. At noon, a crier stood on the wooden platform and read the imperial charter to a vast crowd, his voice carrying the death of silence. The crowd erupted. Cheers, weeping, strangers embracing, 1,000 hands reaching for copies of the proclamation.
Every word I set in lead has become a weapon they can wield.
Imperial guards stormed Lord Rensel's mansion. They dragged him into the street, his sneer still clinging to his face.
You'll all hang when the Emperor regains his senses.
The voice of Truth's press was shattered, its offices sealed with a notice, treason against the people.
The Imperial Gazette needs an editor-in-chief who bleeds ink. Elara, I name you.
Every page will be a shield. I won't let a single lie slip past.
By sunset, the streets danced. Newspapers sailed through the air like doves of a new dawn.
They were silent, and now they roar. The truth finally has more voices than the throne.
A week later, Toshiki walked through the new printing hall, where 6 presses now clattered in perfect unison under a vaulted roof.
One man started this. 100 hands will sustain the truth.
Dispatches poured in from the farthest provinces, pigeon messages, riders' satchels, all bearing verified witness reports. He drafted a charter for a board of trustees, 5 citizens who would elect the editor and guard the Gazette's independence.
From this day forward, the Imperial Gazette belongs to the Empire, not to me.
He handed the keys to the board and walked out past the ink-stained workers into the afternoon light.
I was a ghost. Now I'm a footnote. Exactly what I wanted.
The next morning's front page bore a story of a noble's corruption, exposed by citizen reports and sworn testimony. Proof the system worked.
The truth now holds, and it will hold without me.
The press clattered on. No longer a fugitive's whisper, but the Empire's steady, unbreakable voice. A year had passed since the charter was sealed. The square, once a theater of criers' shouts, now listened in quiet trust. The crier read a report on grain shipments, a mundane truth, but spoken without a single royal edit. A merchant nodded, making a note of the prices. No one questioned the ink. The truth was simply assumed. From his balcony, Toshiki watched the scene unfold. His dark violet eyes held the quiet of a man who had already won.
Truth has become a habit. No one waits for a royal edict anymore.
Below, a child held up a folded newspaper, asking her mother to read. The Empire had learned a new literacy.
Control public opinion. Number, I gave it back to them.
The Empire still had an emperor, a throne, a chancellor. But now it also had a question, printed fresh each morning.
The strongest throne is the one built of verified sentences.
The press clattered on. The sound of an empire held together not by force, but by the weight of its people's knowledge. In the quiet of the old print shop, Toshiki returned to the smell of ink and oil. A young apprentice paused his work, a half-inked page in his hand, his face lit by curiosity.
Master Toshiki, how do you know what is true? The criers used to lie.
The truth is what we verify together. It isn't given, it's built.
The boy's eyes widened, then he nodded, as if a final piece had clicked into place. He turned back to the press, his hands now steadier on the ink roller.
That's one more who will never bow to a crier's lie.
The press clattered on, its rhythm unchanged, a heartbeat older than empires.
Tomorrow's headline will ask its own question, and someone will verify.
The print shop fell quiet, save for the steady clatter of the press, a sound that would never be silenced.